Hey everybody, Martin here, and today on the channel I'm going to be doing setup and playthrough of my original game design, which is called Do Not Go Gentle. And this is an entry into the 2023 Solitaire Print and Play Game Design Contest, which is ongoing now as I record this video. So what is Do Not Go Gentle? Well, it is a solitaire post-apocalyptic game of worker placement, base building, hand management, scavenging, and survival. And what I'm going to do in this video, as I said earlier, is I'm going to tell you how to set the game up. I'm going to show you a little bit of playthrough. We'll see how far we get. And then I'll come back at the end and talk a little bit about the game design and development process. Okay. So without further ado, let me bring you down to my table and show you the game is partially set up right now, right? So let me walk you through here. This is what we call your compound. So you're a bunch of survivors in the post-apocalypse. And after wandering for many years, you were able to find a place that you are able to settle down in and defend. And that's your humble little compound right over here, and it has 9 slots. It is on the outskirts of a city, so this board over here is called the Ruined City board, where you can potentially go scavenging for other supplies and other items and weapons to be able to help you survive here in your compound. So, speaking of survivors, you start the game with 3 survivors. These are what we call the basic survivors. And they're basic survivors because they don't have any modifier appearing here on their survivor card. So they're just plain vanilla survivors with no extra abilities. As you scavenge through the ruined city, you're going to have chances to find additional survivors who could potentially join your small band of survivors here and help you build up and defend your compound. So they're over here, but when you start the game, they are hidden because you haven't discovered them yet. Eventually, as we play through, you'll have the chance to find these people, up to 3 more survivors, and add them to your group of survivors here. Other things that you're able to do here is you start the game with 3 basic buildings set up in your compound. And they are in the form of these tiles here. So you'll start with a basic farm that can produce some food. You'll also start with a basic weapon shop that at the start of the game can only produce some knives, some basic weapons. And then you also start with a basic workshop, and it can produce barricades so that you can defend your compound a little bit better. So those are the 3 starter buildings that you start with. As you progress through the game, you will have the opportunity to upgrade your basic buildings to their upgraded side on the other side. So this upgraded workshop is going to have more capabilities every time you place a survivor or a worker there to be able to produce. And if you're able to place 2 survivors or 2 workers here on this space, you get to construct a whole new building. Of these choices here you have other buildings that you can construct, another farm to increase your food production, another workshop to build more barricades, your weapon shop, which, by the way, if you upgrade your weapon shop, you'll have the ability to build advanced weapons, i.e. guns, which, as you might imagine, are more efficient at defending your compound. You also have the ability to build new structures, such as this clinic, which is going to help you produce medicines that can cure damage that your survivors have suffered, or this repair shop that is going to be able to repair your damaged structures. And then there's another repair shop that you could actually build. Okay, so those are the choices of other structures that you'll have the opportunity to build later on in the game. All right. So I think that kind of covers the introduction part of this. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up the game here. All right. And the first piece in the game setup is to place the compound game board in the center of the play area. So that's what we've done already. Here is the compound. Next, number 2 is to place the ruined city board to the right of the compound board in the play area. So we've done that as well. Next step in setup is to take the 3 starting survivor character sheets, and you can tell these are the starting survivor character sheets because they have no benefit bonus printed on them, and you take their corresponding meeples of matching color. So you'll notice that they have a color of meeple printed in their upper right, and you have to have a meeple that matches that color so you know which meeple represents which character in your which survivor in your little group here. And then number 4, step 4, is we separate the Marauder deck into 6 piles of 4 cards. So let me show you what the Marauder deck looks like. So this is the Marauder deck. And we are there's 18 cards here. We're supposed to separate them into 6 piles of 4 cards arranged by the round number on their back. So you'll notice that they have a round number on the back. Round 1, round 2, round 5, and round 6. Okay. And why this is important is there are 4, you play the game over a series of 4 rounds. So what you want to do now is you want to shuffle up each one of these, and then without looking at the message that's printed on the card back, because there's a little bit of information printed on the card back of each one, you select 1 card from each, and then the rest of these Marauder cards you return to the box. It will not be used this round. So I'm going to get another one from round 2. I'm going to shuffle these up and grab a round 2 Marauder card. And finally, here's the round 6. Let's grab that top one. Why not? Okay. So now we have created a unique Marauder deck for the game. Here's the round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, round 5, and round 6. And what we'll do is once we've got these, we will place this Marauder deck for the game within reach in the play area. So I think what I'll do is I'll place this Marauder deck over here so that you can see it. All right, and then we'll come back to that later on. Next step in the game setup is we search through the scavenge deck for the 8 cards with a person icon. So here's the scavenge deck, and it has 56 cards right now. And we'll search through, because you'll notice the card backs have, it's like you're looking at through binoculars to some of the buildings that are here in the ruined city. And then through the binoculars, you can see what could possibly be inside that room in that building that you're currently surveilling. So some of them have a person icon. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through during game setup, and you are going to separate I believe it's 8 cards that have a person icon. Okay, so we have the 8 cards with the person icon, and what we're going to do here is we are going to set these aside for now. And then we're going to take the remaining 48 cards here, and we're going to shuffle these up. And then once we've shuffled the scavenge deck and separated the cards with the person icon on the back, what we're going to do is we're going to deal 5 cards, 6 decks of 5 cards each. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so we now should have at least 5 cards in each pile here. I read 5 there. All right, we have now arranged the scavenge deck into 6 piles of 5 cards each. Now we're going to return our attention to the scavenge cards with the person icon. There should be 8 of them that we set aside earlier. And then what we're going to do is we are going to locate the 3 survivor scavenge cards. So there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. So what we've done is we've located the 3 survivor cards. So finding these are going to get you an additional survivor, which is very, very powerful in the game. And we are going to pair them up with 3 random cards from the remaining cards in the deck. Okay, we don't know what these are. 1, 2, 3. Now the remaining 2 cards or scavenge cards with the person icon on the back, we will return to the box because they will not be used in this game. Great. And now we have these 6 cards with the person icon on the back, 3 of which are survivor, and we'll just make sure that they are shuffled up. So we don't know which of these 6 are the 3 survivors and which are the other cards with a person icon on the back that are not survivors. And then what we're going to do is face down, we're going to take one of these and put them at the bottom of these decks. All right, so we're going to do that now. So essentially what you're doing here is you're ensuring that the very last card in each of the buildings that you scavenge is going to potentially either be a survivor or be something else. And we don't know what that something else is. It could be nasty. It could be just nothing. So there's a couple of different outcomes here. All right. There you go. We have now finished setting up the scavenge deck with the 6 scavenge kind of mini decks here with a survivor card at the bottom that we don't know what that is. All right, next step. Form a general supply within easy reach consisting of the following tokens. The red damage tokens, which are over here. I'll place them right over here for now. The yellow hunger tokens, so these represent hunger, and we'll show you how that works later. And these are the marauders. Now, I'm using black figures, meeples, and other things to represent the marauders. So these are the bad guys in the game, and we will be using that for now. In the print and play file that I provided, I also have marauder tokens if you don't have any kind of black items to use as marauders. All right. Other tokens that we have here in our general supply, we've got the food tokens. So they look like a green chicken leg here. We've got the barricade tokens, and these are going to help fortify your compound. These are the basic weapons with the icon of a knife. Here are the more advanced tokens. So here's advanced weapons. Ignore the numbers that are kind of hand penned on the tokens here. That was for a different part of playtesting. We've also got some repair tokens to repair damage suffered by your buildings. And we've got the meds tokens. One meds token will repair damage or cure damage suffered by your survivors. All right. So we've formed our general supply of tokens. Next, we're going to take the 3 starting buildings. So the starting buildings are the basic farm and the basic weapon shop and the basic workshop. Okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to choose where in our compound we want to place our starting buildings. And as you place them, notice that there are benefit icons printed on the compound main board. And so as you place, for example, I'm going to place my farm here in the center. That's where I like to place the farm. It also means I'm going to take 1 food token. So let me go ahead and grab a food token and place it here along with my survivors in our meager general supply. Next, I'm going to place my workshop. Why not? I'll place it here in this space and get a barricade token for placing it there. And then finally, my basic weapon shop. Why not? Let me put it right here beside my farm, to the right of my farm, and I will take the basic weapon token that it provides. And it says in the game setup, if you acquired a basic weapon benefit token, you may now equip it in a free weapon slot of the starting survivor card of your choice. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose Drifter here, and I'm going to put this basic weapon in his right hand. And we'll show you a little bit later on. But Drifter's got a knife. And Phoenix doesn't have a weapon at the start of the game. Gunner doesn't have a weapon at the start of the game. We have a barricade, and we have not enough food. We've got 1 food token, and obviously right now we have 3 survivors to feed. So not a great situation, but what are you going to do? It is the post-apocalypse. All right. So that concludes the game setup. We are now fully set up. Hey folks, welcome back. We've just concluded game setup for my game Do Not Go Gentle. Now we are going to do a gameplay demo. I'm going to play through some rounds of the game and give you some idea of how the gameplay progresses. So play is separated into a series of phases: the scouting phase, the action phase, the production phase, the scavenging phase, the fortification phase, the defense phase, and the recovery phase. So 7 phases per round, and the game is played over 6 rounds, as I said. Okay, and you can use these scavenge decks as your round tracker, because you'll notice there's 6 scavenge decks. Let's start to play the game in detail. So the first phase, as I said, is the scouting phase. In the scouting phase, we'll draw the top card of the Marauder deck. That's this deck right over here. And we're going to take a look at it. So the card back of the Marauder deck gives us a little bit of information about where the Marauders, what direction they're going to be attacking from, what part of your compound. So over here, we've got some intel. An old man says north. They're coming from the north. Okay. So what that means is we don't know, the attack's going to come from this side, from the northern part, and we don't know exactly which tile they're going to target. So that's kind of a problem. But it doesn't tell us how many Marauders are going to be. It doesn't tell us how many in which tile, so it just gives us this bit of incomplete or imperfect information. Okay, so that was our scouting phase. We'll place this here in our area for now, and then we'll get back to this Marauder card later on in the defense phase. Okay, now we move on to the action phase. In the action phase, one by one, you may take your survivor meeples from their character sheet and then place them on spaces, on building tiles in your compound to produce stuff. You may also send a single survivor to the ruined city space to undertake a dangerous scavenging mission. So, and you can do this in any order. So this is why I gave Drifter the basic weapon earlier, because I'm going to send Drifter into the ruined city to do a little bit of scavenging. And we're going to resolve that later on. But that's where I've decided to send Drifter, and that's why he's got a basic weapon there. He's currently the most well-armed of all of our survivors. All right, so now that leaves Phoenix and Gunner. So right now we are short on food. So food is a priority because we've only got 1 food token, and we're going to need to feed at least 3 survivors here, possibly more if we find another survivor. So I'm going to send Phoenix. Now, Phoenix has 3 choices of what spots on each building tile to place on. They could place here. That's called the half-effort spot. And the half-effort spot is going to generate 1 of that item. But the benefit of doing that, the bonus of doing that, is you can still move that figure, that meeple, after placement. Let's say if you needed to move them for defense purposes. Right now, all we know is that the attack is coming in from the north. So it could actually end up attacking either of these 3 tiles. So I'm actually going to put Phoenix on the middle space, which is the full effort space. Now, the full effort space is going to produce 2 of those items, which is great for us because with those 2, she's going to produce 2 food, plus the 1 food token we already have. That is all the food to be able to feed our current set of survivors. So that's really great for us. Now, the downside is she won't be able to move. She's going to expend full effort to produce all that food at the farm. She will not be able to move out of there for defense purposes later on. So that's the difference between the half effort and the full effort space production spaces. But that's okay, because I actually want to leave Phoenix in this tile for defending this farm. So that's kind of good. Okay, so that's where I want to place Phoenix. Just to explain the other space here, if I were to place 2 meeples on the rightmost space of a building, then you actually get to upgrade that building. You flip it over to its upgraded side. But right now, we don't have enough people or resources to be able to even attempt that. So we're going to place Phoenix here, here on this farm, and that's what Phoenix is going to do. Now, aside from food, which we've got covered a little bit for now, we also need either weapons or barricades. So Gunner over here could either go to the basic workshop to build some barricades, or to the basic weapons shop to build weapons. Both of those things can help defend the base. The question is, what's going to be more helpful? I think what I'll do is I will, because we've got, what should I want to do? I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to guess that those marauders are going to come right down the middle and try to attack this farm. So I'm going to place Gunner on the half effort space of the weapon shop, which means Gunner will produce 1 basic weapon instead of 2, but they'll be able to move Gunner at the end of this, the end of the production phase to defend this basic farm. So I think that's what I'm going to do. All right. So that concludes the action phase. The action phase, once again, is where you decide where you're going to send your survivors. Okay. So now we're going to move on to the production phase. And so in the production phase, basically, you gain the fruits of your survivor's labor. So in any order, choose a building tile in your compound to resolve. So I'll start here with Phoenix. Phoenix, as I said, went to the full effort space of the farm. And so Phoenix is going to produce 2 food, which is really great. And for right now, I'm going to place her produced food on the farm itself, just to remind me that this is what Phoenix produced this turn. Now, Phoenix cannot move away from this farm because she spent all of her effort this round on the farm, but that's fine. I think Phoenix is in the right spot to defend for when the marauders come. Here's Gunner. Gunner, I placed him in the half effort spot of the weapon shop. So Gunner produces only 1 basic weapon, which I'll place here. But the cool thing is, because if Gunner, since I placed Gunner on the half effort spot, then I can, at the end of this production phase, I can move Gunner to any other building tile, or if I wanted to, if I needed to, an empty compound space. So I'm going to actually decide to move Gunner to this middle farm to help Phoenix defend it for when the marauders come a little later on. Okay, and that concludes my production phase. Basically, we go through all of the placed survivors or workers in the compound, on building tiles in the compound, and we kind of resolve what they produce. And then we leave those tokens that they produced on the tiles for the moment. Okay, now we move on to what's called the scavenging phase. So if you decided to send a survivor into the ruined city, and that's what we did. We decided to send Drifter over here to the ruined city. So now what Drifter is going to do is choose one of these available scavenge decks and is going to start working through them. So thematically, what Drifter is doing is they're going to take a look at the back of the deck of cards. It kind of gives them an idea of what they could possibly be surveilling or reconnoitering through their binoculars. And then they're going to flip it over one by one and then resolve what is printed on the front side of the card. So the question is, which of these do we want to choose? So if I take a look here, this one just has a generic box, just looking through, and you can just see some type of box there. That could be good, that could be bad. This one has a image of a gun. So that could potentially be an advanced weapon. Here in the post-apocalypse, having a gun is a big deal, right? Like that can really, really help you, especially as we know we're going to be attacked by marauders here. So I think this is the deck we want to choose. So this is the deck that Gunner is going to choose here. So Gunner is going to take this pile of 6 cards and start flipping them one by one. Now, what I will mention about the scavenging is that depending on how things are going for you, you can stop at any time. You can say, okay, I'm going to stop flipping cards and resolving them, but then you will lose your shot at anything else, especially as you know that at the very bottom of this deck, there is potentially a survivor who could help you out, be an additional worker to help you out here. So that's huge. So there's a little bit of risk here. There's a little bit of push your luck. But let's start scavenging, shall we? So the first one we're hoping is a gun. So let's flip this over and see what we get. Nothing. We thought it was a gun. It turned out to be nothing. Okay, so that's disappointing, but at least it could have been worse. All right, and then the next item is a box. So we don't really have any more information. We just see a box through the window through our binoculars. Let's flip it over and see what we get. Nothing. Oh, well, you know, I mean, this happens in the post-apocalypse when you're scavenging. You may not have been the only person who's already scavenged that particular part of the city. Maybe it was already scavenged. And so we've got so far 2 consecutive, we didn't find anything. We've been coming up empty. So that's kind of a bummer, but at least we haven't encountered any marauders yet. Don't speak too soon. Knock wood. All right. This is the next card in the deck. This is the 3rd card. It's a box. We're seeing a box through the window through our binoculars. Let's flip it over, shall we, and see what this turns out to be. What is it, Gunner? Holy smokes. Holy Toledo. More nothing. Wow. We undertook a very dangerous scavenging mission, and so far we are coming up empty. But you know what? As I said, thematically, this is what can happen in the post-apocalypse. You are working through an area that has already been worked over by other survivors before you. Okay, here's the 4th card. Are we going to flip it over? I absolutely think we have to flip it over because we've got a chance. We're seeing what looks like a gun through the window. So let's hope that this is actually a gun. Let's flip it over and holy smokes. Another nothing. This is not great, folks. Wow. This is not great at all. I would hate to come up empty on this scavenging run. Also, what I'm thinking is if we're getting a lot of nothing cards in this particular deck, then that hopefully means that these other decks have relatively few nothing cards and more cards that have good things on them. That's what I'm hoping. I'm fingers crossed. Okay. We got 2 more cards left. Are we going to flip this box over and hope that it's something good? We absolutely are. Come on, Drifter. What is it going to be? Yes, we got some meds. We got 2 meds icons. So let's grab the 2 meds tokens and place them in our temporary scavenge supply over here on our ruined city board. So we did find one good thing so far. And we're feeling pretty good about that. The meds are going to be able to heal 1 damage point per med. So that was a good thing. And we have 1 card left with a person icon on the back. And this could potentially be another survivor or nothing or marauders. So let's end the suspense. Let's flip this over and see what we get. It is a survivor. Whoa, we are so lucky. This is so cool. This 1 card makes this entire scavenging trip a big worth it. Huge worth it because this is huge. We find a survivor hiding in the ruined city, and this survivor is going to really be a big help to us. So that's so cool. That's super cool. Let's take the character cards. Let's shuffle them up. and then let's see who our survivor ends up being, because each one of these 3 survivors that you could potentially find, they have a different bonus that they can do. So let's grab this one and put the other ones here on the side for now. And then let's find out which survivor we found in our scavenging run. It is Scamp. Scamp with the yellow meeple. Scamp is a good farmer. Scamp will add +1 to our food production. So this is a really, really huge thing for our post-apocalyptic, small post-apocalyptic tribe. Is Scamp we found Scamp in the ruined city on a scavenging run, and they have decided to join us. So I'll place Scamp's card over here. Let's see. Okay. So let's move Gunner over here to the left, and Phoenix and Drifter, and then we'll place Scamp over here on the right. And Scamp has the yellow meeple. So I'll take the yellow meeple and place it on Scamp's card right over here. So this is really, really cool. On the one hand, because now you have an extra worker to be able to place during the action phase. On the other hand, that's an extra mouth to feed. So there's definitely risk reward here, right? Like, you've got the reward of adding another worker to your group, but they also are a drain on your resources, right? Just like the post-apocalypse. It's a hard Scrabble life you got here. And the more people you add to your group, the more food you have to produce to be able to feed them. Okay, so that concludes our little scavenging run. At the end of the scavenging phase, if you are still up, if you have health, and then you are able to return to the compound. So here's Drifter coming back from their scavenging run, returning to the compound. I'll place their meeple back on their card, and triumphantly returning with 2 meds tokens, which I will place here in our little personal supply. Okay, great. This is awesome. Very, very cool. So that completes the scavenging phase. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the fortification phase. All right, now let's move on to the fortification phase. In this phase, we're going to feed our survivors and then deploy the resources in our personal supply to be able to defend the compound. So first things first, we have to feed the survivors, okay? So let's see. We've got 1 food token here, and we've got 4 survivors to feed. So let's decide that we're going to feed Drifter. Drifter is going to get fed and therefore will not take a hunger token to their card. All right. So Drifter gets fed. We discard that token. Now we have to feed Gunner, Phoenix, and Scamp, who just joined our team. So here are the 2 tokens, 2 foods that Phoenix produced in the last production phase. But we've got 3 survivors who need to be fed. So this is a tough choice here. Who's going to be fed? I already fed Drifter because I need Drifter to go scavenging some more in a future round. And I don't want them to suffer any penalties because they're hungry. So, darn it. I think I'm going to feed Scamp because Scamp has a bonus to food production. And food is a really, really big thing that we need right now. So I'm going to discard this food token to feed Scamp. And Scamp gets fed. And now I've got 1 food token. And I have to choose. Do I feed Gunner or do I feed Phoenix? Gunner or Phoenix? I mean, right now it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. So I'm going to choose to feed Phoenix. Which means Gunner didn't get to eat. Because we have a food shortage, of course, here in the post-apocalypse. So now Gunner is going to take a hunger token and place them on their card. Now, having a hunger token, first of all, if you're already hungered, if you're already hungry, and then you have to take a second hunger token to your card, that's the end. Excuse me. Then you'll take damage. So that's not good. So right now, Gunner's hungry, which means they're going to have a penalty to their production phase, to their actions that they can perform, which I will show you a little bit later on. Okay, so we had 4 survivors. Excuse me. We had 4 survivors. We were able to feed 3 of them, and one of them is currently hungered right now. Okay. Next, let's also produce. Well, let's also take our food here. I'm sorry, our weapon. So we were able to produce one other basic weapon, and I want to place this weapon in the hands of the person who will be able to do the most defense. So right now, what I'm hoping is that the marauders are going to come directly north from our compound and come directly to try to overrun our farm, attack our farm. And I've got Gunner and Phoenix guarding the farm. So I'm going to give one basic weapon to Gunner. Now, one of the penalties of being hungry or being damaged is Gunner can only wield one weapon. So they don't have the ability, as a penalty, they're not able to place a second weapon in their left hand, in their other slot. If they have any, like a hunger cube or a damage cube, like these red cubes, if he had a damage cube on him, he wouldn't be able to hold 2 weapons, only one. That's one penalty. Okay, and then Drifter has a basic weapon. Now, Drifter will not be able to participate in compound defense because they used all their energy this past round, scavenging. So this knife is not going to do Drifter any more good here. So Drifter is going to hand the knife over to Phoenix, because Phoenix will be able to use that knife to be able to defend the farm. Each one of these things, so each survivor without any weapon is worth 1 defense point. If you give them a basic weapon like a knife, then that's now worth 2 defense points, the survivor and their knife. So Gunner and Phoenix are each worth 2 defense points right now on this farm. Okay, so that concludes the fortification phase, and we now move on to the defense phase. In the defense phase, this is when the marauders attack. So the first part of the defense phase, the first step is called Marauders Appear. And in this step, we flip the Scouted Marauder card in the play area face up. So here's the Marauder card that we chose all the way back in the scouting phase. And now we're going to flip it and find out where are these marauders coming from. All right, they are coming from the north, and we bet correctly, we gambled and bet correctly, 7 marauders are going to come directly down here. Okay, so first of all, the first thing we'll do is we'll take 7 marauder tokens and we'll place them in the corresponding space of our compound. So 7 go into this space over here. So right now I'll use these black meeples, as I said, and black figures to represent the marauders. Okay. So now we have 7 marauders, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and they are coming toward our farm. That was step 1 of the defense phase. Step 2 of the defense phase is if the marauder tokens were placed on a completely empty space in your compound, no building tile, no barricade, no survivor, then you will move the marauder tokens orthogonally, i.e. no diagonal movement, into the closest building tile or non-empty space. So the closest building to where the marauders penetrated our compound is the farm. So all of these marauders are going to move in here. And they're going to try to overrun the farm, and the only thing that's standing against them is Phoenix and Gunner. Now, the next step is we are going to the attack. So here's how we resolve the attack. They engage in combat, and we total up the attack value of the marauders, and really that equals to the number of marauders. So 7 marauders equals 7 attack value for the marauders. And over here, we have to total up the defense value of our survivors who are defending. So one survivor, as I said earlier, Gunner has a defense value of 2. Phoenix has a defense value of 2. So we add those together. So they have a total defense value of 4 against an attack value of 7. So the Marauders' attack power exceeds our defense power. The Marauders are currently overrun the space. We must now pay penalty points equal to the difference between Marauder attack power and our defense power. So how does that work? So the difference is 7 minus 4 is 3. So we have to pay 3 penalty points. How do we pay 3 penalty points? We have to discard items that are currently in that building. So if we had a barricade token there, we could discard 1 barricade token for 1 penalty point. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to produce any. Oh, I'm sorry, look at this. Darn it. We had one that we didn't place earlier in fortification. I will retroactively place it here right now, and that adds 1 penalty, 1 defense point. So instead of 4, our defense is actually 5 with that barricade, which means 7 minus 5 is 2 penalty points. So we only have to pay 2 penalty points. Whew. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry that I missed that we had that barricade token. I should have assigned that barricade token during the fortification phase. Okay. So we have to resolve this. 7 minus 5 is 2. We have to pay 2 penalty points. So if you discard a barricade token, that's 1 penalty point. So we'll discard that barricade token, sadly. Sure. These are the tough choices, folks. Like, do I decide to discard barricade tokens? Because I could also discard Phoenix and Gunner are on there, and they each have 1 basic weapon. So I could discard 2 basic weapons, and that would also satisfy the 2 penalty points that I have to pay to be able to resolve this combat. So the question is, do I discard 1 barricade and 1 weapon, or do I discard both weapons but leave the barricade? Okay, I'm going to leave the barricade. I'm going to leave the barricade here because that basically adds on. That's a little bit of engine building, not engine building, but that will be a persistent defense bonus to that tile. And which means I have to discard these 2 basic weapons to be able to satisfy the 2 penalty points that I have to pay for this combat. But after paying those penalty points, we were able to turn back, to resist, to defend successfully against these Marauders, but at a very high price. They discarded all of the weapons that we brought to that combat. So that kind of sucks. But here we go. And on the look, we have to look at the bright side, okay? Nobody took any damage, okay? And we still have 1 barricade on that building. On our basic farm. We didn't lose any buildings. We didn't lose any survivors. We have to look at the bright side here. Okay. It was rough though. It was rough. All right. So that concludes the defense phase. We now move on to the final phase of the round, which is called the recovery phase. So in the recovery phase, we first of all check if we can still move on to the next round. So basically, the check is if you still have at least 1 survivor left alive and 1 building left standing, then you can proceed to the next round. Otherwise, you lose the game. We still have all 3 buildings and all of our survivors left alive and standing, so we are good there. We're good. Now, what we need to do is we need to retrieve our survivors. So Gunner is going to come back to his character sheet. Phoenix is going to come back to her character sheet. We're going to leave that barricade token there. At least we're going to be able to add 1 point to the farm's defense, so that's kind of cool. And then Drifter already came back from scavenging, and Scamp is on her character sheet here. Okay, and then if we wanted to, we can trade weapons. So here's the problem. After the first round, we have exactly 0 weapons between us. So which means next round we have a high priority of we have to produce weapons, right? We have to produce weapons to be able to outfit our survivors. So, but that's a future thought right there. So once we've completed these steps, we complete the recovery phase. Now we are ready to proceed to the next round. I should actually add to the rules that we can now discard this Marauder card because it already did its job. It sent 7 Marauders against us. Okay. Whew. That was a tough, exciting, pretty tragic first round of play, but let's look on the bright side. If there is a bright side here in the post-apocalypse, we still have all of our building tiles, all of our survivors. We have no food. We have no weapons. We do actually have 2 meds, so that's we got to look on the bright side here. We have 2 meds. Nobody's wounded right now. They don't need any meds. Okay, so we will go back to the start of the phases for round 2. And as we did last time, we're going to open up with the scouting phase. So the scouting phase for round 2, we draw the top card of the Marauder deck, and the card back gives us a little bit of imperfect information. So here it says, an emissary says, the attack comes from the northeast. Take this as a gesture of goodwill. Northeast. So the attack is going to come from this area right here, which means potentially they could be targeting this building because that's the closest building to where they're going to come in from. All right, from the northeast it is then. So somehow we're going to have to fortify our weapon shop if the attack is going to come in from here. So we'll leave this Marauder card here in our play area for now, face down. Great. We're not going to take a look. We're not going to flip it over until we get to the defense phase later on. Okay, so this actually ties in with what we need to do because we have 0 weapons, so we need actually weapons. So now we got to decide how to place who where. So first of all, Scamp has now joined. So we now have an additional worker to place. So that's really cool. So Scamp, and by the way, Scamp's meeple is broken. She has no head. Headless Scamp. Headless Scamp has a +1 to food production. So clearly Scamp is the best choice to send to the farm. So here's the tough choice here. I could send Scamp to the half effort space, and that will produce 1 food +1 food because of Scamp's bonus. But then I would, after that, be able to send Scamp over here to help protect the weapon shop. But then she would only produce 2 food, which means 2 of our survivors would go hungry unless we find more food scavenging. So there's a little bit of risk here. What's more important? Because I could send Scamp to full effort here and produce 2 food +1, so total of 3, and that would be that would put us in a much better position in terms of being able to feed the most number of survivors. But then Scamp will be able to move out of here and not be able to participate in defending the weapon shop. So what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I'm feeling a little bit, I want to take a risk, folks. I'm going to put Scamp on the half effort space and produce only 2 food, and then hope that in scavenging we can find more food. That's the risk I'm going to take right now. Okay. Now we need more weapons, right? So I can send Gunner. I can send Gunner to the weapon shop and do a full effort. Do a full effort of the weapon shop, and that's going to produce 2 knives. And then I can send Phoenix over to the half effort and produce 1 more knife. So they're going to produce a total of 3 knives. Oh, wait a minute. You know what? I can't. Let me back that up. I said I was going to send Gunner to the full effort space. Well, Gunner is hungry. Gunner has a hunger token on him, which means Gunner cannot expend full effort. Another penalty of having a hunger token on your card is you can only do half effort. So we're going to have to swap their positions. Gunner is going to do half effort at the basic weapon shop and produce 1 basic weapon, and Phoenix is going to go to the full effort to produce 2 weapons. Okay, it's a good thing I remember that. These are the penalties that you suffer if you are hungry or if you have damage. Okay, and then the last survivor that we need to place is Drifter. We're going to send Drifter to the ruined city to do some more scavenging. Only problem is Drifter is unarmed, which is not a good way to go. Drifter, obviously you don't want to go scavenging with 0 weapons, but I mean, we have no choice. We have no weapons right now. We're in a tough situation. It is the post-apocalypse after all. Okay, so that concludes our action phase. Now we're going to do the production phase, and we're going to resolve these one by one. So let's start with Scamp over here. So Scamp has a half effort, will produce 1 food, and then because of their +1 to food production, they'll produce an extra food. Great. So there you go. Scamp has produced 2 food. So far, so good. And because that was a half effort space, I'll be able to move Scamp. So I'm going to choose to move Scamp to this basic weapon shop to help out with defense. Great. Gunner over here is on the half effort space. So they'll produce 1 basic weapon. Normally, if you were not hungry and not wounded, then I could move Gunner somewhere else, although it doesn't make sense to move Gunner right now because this is where I think the Marauders are going to come, and so this is the spot that we want to defend. But because he's because he's hungry, he has a hunger status. He can't currently move away, even if he went on the half effort space. Now Phoenix is going to produce 2 basic weapons. So we produce a total of 3 basic weapons this round. So that's pretty good. That means we can outfit our folks for defense later on. Unfortunately, this didn't come in time to outfit Gunner with at least 1 knife, 1 basic weapon. So Gunner has to go and scavenge with 0 weapons. So that's not great for Gunner, but we'll see how that works out. Okay, so we've resolved all of the production. We've placed the benefit tokens on their respective areas, locations where they were produced. And so now we move on to the scavenging phase. So that means we're going to resolve where Drifter is going to scavenge. So right now we're looking at all of the different remaining decks. All of them seem to have a card on the top with a box, a generic box. So it's not giving us any extra information as to where to go. So it's all the same. He's just going to choose the closest one here. So here we go. This is the first card of the scavenging run. It has a box icon on the backside. Let's flip it over and see what we get. Nothing. Wow. Okay. This is, and I mean, like, this is kind of a bummer, but these are the risks that you take when you are in the post-apocalypse. In the last scavenging run, we found a whole bunch of nothing, but then we ended up with something really good, which we found some meds, and then we found a survivor. So here we go. This is the second card in the scavenging run. It's got a box icon. What is it going to turn out to be? Let's flip it over. Okay, we found some tools. So this gives us 1 repair icon. And the repair is going to help repair damage to buildings. So that could come in handy. We'll put it in our scavenge supply for now. Very cool. So now we have another, we're looking through our binoculars, we're seeing a box, not any more detail than that. What is it? Meds. We have found some more meds, so that's kind of cool. There you go. We'll place it in our scavenge supply here. Here is the 4th of 6 cards here. Another box icon, no extra information. We'll flip it over. What does it turn out to be? Energy bars, food. This is actually really good for us because we produce 2 food in our compound. This gives us another food to potentially feed another survivor. So that's actually really good. So we're going to grab a food token and place it here in our scavenge supply. And okay, this is interesting. This seems to be a gun. Potentially this could be a weapon. So let's keep our fingers crossed that we flip this over and it turns out to actually be a weapon. Yes. Okay. Wow. This is great. We now found a gun. Having a gun, as we say in the post-apocalypse, is a very, very big deal. So we'll take a gun icon. That can certainly help us later on for compound defense if we're actually able to complete the scavenging run and return home successfully. So let's not count our chickens before they hatch. Here is the final card. Here is the final card. Could be another survivor, which would be really great, but could also be something else. What is it? Let's end the suspense. Oh my gosh, we got ambushed. We got ambushed by 3 marauders. So we have to resolve this combat here. So just as we resolve combat here in the compound, it's a similar resolution of combat here in the scavenge phase. You have to total up the attack power of the marauders that ambushed you. So here's 3, and then you have to compare to the defense power of your scavenging survivor. Here's the thing. They can use anything they have in their scavenge supply to go up against the ambush. So here's the thing. Drifter just found a gun. So he was hoping to be able to bring this gun back to the compound and help with defense. But he needs this gun right now to save his own life. He figures his own life is more important right now than trying to, well, if he dies in this combat, then he will not survive to be able to bring what he scavenged back to the compound. So he's going to do that. He's going to place the gun in his right hand. And so Drifter plus the gun is worth 2 defense points, and then Drifter is worth 1. So that's a total of 3. If you equal or exceed the attacking power of the marauders, you successfully defend against them. So this ambush ends up with Drifter killing all 3 of these attacking marauders who ambushed him. So screw you, ambushers. Screw you, marauders. Unfortunately, all advanced weapons are 1 use only. Drifter used this gun, and so he's going to have to discard it. Let's just assume that, like, thematically, any guns you find in the post-apocalypse are extremely not well cared for and lacking maintenance, and so they just basically work one time, and then you have to discard them. So there's a rarity here in terms of the weapon. So Drifter used the gun to defend himself and save his own life. So we have to discard that back to this general supply. So Drifter's not going to be able to bring that gun back to help in compound defense, sadly. However, Drifter does come back triumphantly with all of this stuff. He comes back with meds, with a repair token, and with food, really, really all-important food. So that's actually really a really good scavenging run, Drifter. And then put Drifter back on his character sheet. So Drifter expended all of his energy in that scavenging run in the ruined city. He comes back home, and that's all he can do. He's not going to be able to help out defending the compound. But he was able to come back, and he has all this stuff. He's got food, he's got meds, he's got a repair, he's got some tools. So that's really, really cool. And that concludes this scavenging phase. So now let's move over to the fortification phase. So first things first in the fortification phase, we have to feed our survivors. So you know what? We have to feed Gunner, okay? He's already hungry. We don't want him to get damaged. So we're going to take this 1 food over here, and we're going to feed Gunner. So when you feed anyone who's got a hunger icon, that goes away. And so now Gunner is full up. He's able to do... he has no penalties due to hunger. Now we've got 2 more food, but we've got 3 survivors to feed. We have to feed Phoenix, Drifter, or Scamp. Well, what are we going to do? It's hard because when Drifter goes out and he does scavenging, we don't want him to be damaged. Phoenix is doing defense. Darn it. I'm gonna choose to feed Scamp. And I'm going to choose to feed Drifter. So sadly, Phoenix, unfortunately, it's your turn to go hungry. and we'll put a hunger token on Phoenix. Phoenix is going to have a penalty to certain actions because while they have their hunger token on them. All right, so that is the fortification phase. And now we can distribute weapons. So we've got 3 weapons to distribute here. Phoenix is on the building tile and can wield at least 1 weapon even if they're hungry. Gunner is on the building tile, the basic weapon shop. And then Scamp is also in the weapon shop. So they are going to defend this weapon shop from the survivors. I'm sorry, from the marauders. And let's just make sure here we don't have any barricades that we produced or found. We're not able to move this barricade from here. As you can imagine, once you built a barricade in a building tile, it stays there. You can't just kind of like dismantle it and then move it to another building tile. So sadly, this is not going to be able to help in defending the weapon shop in this round. So now that we've completed the fortification phase, now it is time to move on to the defense phase. So as we take our Marauder card that we scouted earlier, now let's flip it over. And they are coming in from the northeast. There's 9 Marauders coming in into this building right here. So they appear, 9 Marauders. Don't worry, folks. In the final print and play file, I've actually provided Marauder tokens, and there are some Marauder tokens that stand for 5. So actually, I can do that here. Let's say that this black kind of jewel thing is worth 5 Marauders. And then we add these 4 Marauders here, so now we have a total of 9. Okay, so the Marauders appeared in this location. They are unimpeded. There's no barricades or survivors or anything like that in this empty space, so they all come in and they try to take over the weapon shop, being defended by Gunner, Phoenix, and Scamp. All right, so let's total up the Marauder attack power. It is 9. And then let's total up our Survivor defense power. So Gunner has a defense power of 2. Phoenix has a defense power of 2, so that's 4. Scamp has a defense power of 2, so that's 6. 9 minus 6 is 3, which means we have to pay 3 penalty points. So we could, there's 3 knives involved, there's 3 basic weapons involved in this combat. The easy part would be to just lose the knives. 1, 2, 3. And then once again, okay, here's what I'm going to do. Oh, this sucks. This sucks. I'm going to pay 2 penalty points. Oh, man. Okay. I'm going to, because here's what I'm thinking. Here's my thought process. We have a repair. So you know what? I'll pay 2 of these weapons as the 2 penalty points, and then I'll take 1 damage to the weapon shop as the 3rd penalty point. That's not great, because if I take 3 damage to a building, then that building is completely destroyed. The Marauders have successfully destroyed it. So here's my thought process. I can repair that damage because I have a repair token. So I'm willing to take that damage for now and then repair it in a later stage. So that's kind of like my thought process there. Okay. Yeah. So that's done. We were able to pay all the penalty points, which means those Marauders are successfully repelled. We suffered damage to the building. But at least we're still up. And so far, we haven't lost any survivors. We haven't lost any building tiles. So now we conclude the defense phase. We go to the recovery phase. We still have at least 1 survivor left alive. We still have all of our buildings. So then we will retrieve our survivors. So Gunner comes back. Phoenix comes back. Phoenix has Phoenix is hungry. And Scamp comes back. Okay. And then at this time, you may now trade weapons, take weapons tokens from one survivor's character sheet and place them on another. You may do this as many times as you wish between as many survivors as you wish. I think I'll let Scamp give her knife, her basic weapon, to Drifter over here for the next scavenging run. Okay, and that concludes the recovery phase, and now we can move on to the next round. So let's try to do this more quickly. All right, so we go to the scouting phase. Let's discard that scouting card. Scouting phase. This is what's happening in round 3. They'll attack from the east at dawn with the sun behind their backs to blind us. So north, south, west, east. I'm hoping and praying and betting that they're going to come in and try to take this weapon shop once again, which already has 1 damage. Okay, so this is the scouting, and we'll place this card over here in our play area. Now we're going to move on to actions. So Scamp is good at food. So Scamp is going to do... Oh, boy. Okay, Scamp, you're gonna get some food, and then you're gonna move over here to do defense. So Scamp will do the half effort, and then Gunner, I'm gonna send him over here to do full effort barricade building. Phoenix, I'm going to send over here, and Phoenix can only do half effort everything. So I'm going to send you over here, Phoenix, to get a knife. So Gunner is going to build barricades, but Gunner is not going to be able to move. So Scamp is going to build food, but then Scamp is going to move and join defense later, join Phoenix to do basic weapon shop defense. That's how I'm deciding to assign the survivors for the action phase. And Drifter is going to go do his scavenging work. He's got 1 basic weapon here. All right, so those are the assignments. Let's do production. So Gunner over here is going to build 2 barricades. And I'll place the barricades underneath his figure, just to remind me that those are actually produced. They're not like barricading this basic workshop right here. So I'll be able to move those barricades later on in the fortification phase. What's next? Scamp produces 1 food. So Scamp gets 1 food over there. And then Phoenix produces 1 basic weapon. Place that over there. Phoenix cannot do full effort because Phoenix is in hungry mode. So that kind of is a bummer. But anyway, that's how it worked out. And so that concludes our actions. And then we're going to do scavenging. So let's put Drifter over here, and Drifter is going to start scavenging through this deck right here. This is a box. What is it? Ambush. So 3 Marauders versus Drifter, who has an attack power of 2 or defense power of 2. So Drifter has to pay 1 penalty point. He will give up the knife to pay 1 penalty point. Sadly, goes in there and he loses a knife, but he's still up. He didn't take any damage. This one seems to be a gun. Let's see what it is. It turns out to actually be a gun. So that came in the nick of time. Hopefully, Drifter can take it back for compound defense and not have to use it to defend himself on this scavenging run. Over here, we see the icon of a basic weapon. Let's hope it is a basic weapon. 3 knives. Wow, that's huge. That's clutch. 3 knives. 3 basic weapons. Drifter, so far, I don't want to knock wood. Drifter is having a really, really good scavenging run so far. And then this is another advanced weapon or gun. Let's see what it is. It turns out to actually be a gun. Holy smokes. This is huge. My skin is tingling right now in excitement in terms of how, like the stuff that I'm finding here. And here is yet another knife icon. Will our luck hold out? Is this going to be another knife, or is it going to be something bad for us? It does turn out to be something bad. It's an ambush to Marauders. And right now, well, what? So they're attacking Drifter, who's got like a whole bunch of weapons in his bag right now, in his scavenging bag. So Drifter can equip one knife for a defense power of 2, and then he can take out these two, because you can equal, or if you equal or exceed the attacking power, then you defeat them. So Drifter is able to fend off those two marauders who tried to ambush him. So screw you guys. And then finally, so this could be another survivor, and that would be an incredible, incredible thing for us, for our group here. Let's see what it is. It is another survivor. Whoa, this is so cool. All right, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? We've got these two other survivor character cards, and let's shuffle them up. And it is going to be Ratchet, who is good at making basic weapons. That is so awesome. Ratchet has a pink meeple. So we'll place Ratchet here as part of our group. And so that is great. We now have 5 workers to be able to assign in our compound in the action phase, but that is now even more mouths to feed. So there's that tough choices that you have to make. But let's focus on the positive for now. Drifter, after those earlier scavenging runs that found just like nothing, so many nothing cards, now has found like an embarrassment of weapons right over here. That is amazing. And so there's swinginess in this game. There's a little bit of randomness, but like sometimes things can go really bad for you, but sometimes things can go really, really well. And I'm getting excited right now in terms of like, so let's bring Drifter back. And then Drifter, the triumphant Drifter, has a whole bunch of weapons that he was actually able to find in his last scavenging run. This is so cool. And he found another survivor who's going to be able to help out. Okay. Let's just conclude. So that was a scavenging phase. And then fortification phase. Let's feed the survivors. So this one's going to be rough because we only have one produced food, literally only one food. And so I'm going to feed Phoenix, because otherwise she's already hungry. If I don't feed her, then she's going to acquire damage. But this means everyone else in the compound who is not Phoenix gets a hunger. And everyone suffers a penalty, which kind of sucks. But this is how this game goes, right? But now we can, and then we've got, so Gunner made some barricades. So Gunner's going to put both barricades here in the weapon shop because that's what you need. We think that the marauders are going to come from the, where is it? The east, right? So they're going to come in here, hopefully. That's what we're betting. So we are going to place those barricades here to help out with defense. And then Phoenix made another basic weapon. So while we have all these weapons, now we have everybody who's mostly hungry except for Phoenix. So Phoenix is going to equip 2 guns, right? Which gives Phoenix a defense power of 5. And then everybody else, 5, and then that's 2. What is this? No, okay. Yeah, okay. And then actually, there's nobody else here. There's nobody else here. So let's equip weapons for everybody anyway, just because we have all these basic weapons. But the only one who's going to be involved in defense is Phoenix. All right, so here we are in round 3, and we have just completed the fortification phase. And Phoenix is going to be leading the charge of defending the basic weapons shop along with 2 barricades. Oh, another thing we should do here in the fortification phase is we do what we said earlier. We've got this repair token. So let's discard this repair token to repair the damage to the basic weapon shop. We don't want that. All right. And also taking a look at our survivors here, they're all 4 out of 5 are hungered. We don't have any food. So making food in the next round is going to be a top priority. We've got all these meds, but nobody's wounded right now. Okay, so let's move on to the defense phase. And as we know already from earlier rounds, the first part of the defense phase is we'll take a look at the Marauder card. We'll flip it over, and it says that, oh boy, we've got 4 Marauders coming in from the east, from these 3 cubes over here, or these 3 spaces. So let's put 4 over here. This is a different situation. And because of the way the compound is arranged, they're all going to end up... they're all going to end up at this weapon shop. So that is potentially bad. That is potentially very bad for us. Let's see how it goes. All right. Got one more. All right, so we've got a total of 12 Marauders ranged out on the eastern side of the compound. So they're attacking en masse. 4 of them are already in here. So let's resolve this. The Marauders are going to advance. So the 4 that are already in here are going to wait for these guys to show up and these guys to show up. Let's just all pretend, let's just stipulate that they're already all in the weapon shop building. So we have to total up the Marauder attack power, which is 12. And then the defense power of the weapon shop is Phoenix is 5 with her guns. And then the 2 barricades there make it 7. So 12 minus 7 is 5. So we have to pay 5 penalty points from what survivors and other things are in this compound right now. So these 2 barricades, well, first of all, these 2 guns that Phoenix is holding, sadly, need to go away. And she used them already, so they're one-time use. So that's 1, 2. And these barricades here are 3 and 4. And then she still has to pay 1 more penalty point to get 5. The choices here are to place a damage token on the weapon shop or to place a damage token on Phoenix. So I think we're going to place a damage token on the weapon shop, and that makes it 5. That's 5 penalty points all told, and we were able to repel 12 Marauders. Whew. Okay, that was hard. And we were able to defend the weapon shop, but at a very, very high cost. So that's that. And that concludes the defense phase. So now we are going to move on to the recovery phase. We're still good. We still have at least 1 survivor left alive, building left standing. We'll retrieve all remaining survivors from the compound board back to their character sheets. So Gunner can come back here. Scamp can come back. This is Phoenix can come back. And then Drifter and Ratchet are already on their character sheets. You may now trade weapons. Take weapons from one survivor's character sheet and place them on another's. So check this out. The only one who is not hungered is Phoenix. So I think next round I'm going to send... do we want Phoenix to be the one to do the scavenging, or do we want Drifter? I think we'll still send Drifter, right? So let's give Scamp's basic weapon to Drifter. Oh, and we can't, because Drifter's hungered, so he can only hold 1 weapon. Okay, so we'll just do it this way. I'm gonna need Phoenix Unwounded is our only unhungered survivor for the next round. Okay, so that's it. And now we're gonna move on to round number 4. So the very, very important thing, well, first of all, let's do the scouting phase. So here's the scouting phase card for round number 4. The prisoner, we had a prisoner, says, all right, I'll talk. We're planning an attack from the southeast, north, south, west, east. So coming from here, which means most likely going to end up at weapon shop once again. They really, these marauders are really going after that weapon shop. So we need stuff. Oh, we shouldn't be looking at that. I didn't see it. You did probably, but I didn't see it. Okay, sorry. You're not supposed to flip over the card yet, and I didn't see it. So we're good. We're going to continue. What are the important things here? We need food. Okay, so Scamp, sadly, is hungry, and so Scamp is going to go over to this basic farm, and can only place on the half effort space, and will only produce 2 food. So that's we're in bad shape there. We also need barricades. So sadly, everybody, well, Phoenix can go over and make 2 barricades, and then we will send. This is an interesting possibility. Okay, we'll actually send Gunner and Ratchet. Oh, yeah, we'll send Ratchet over here. And we're actually going to put them in the upgrade spot. So they're going to actually upgrade this weapon shop. Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Okay. So those are our action phase placements. And once again, Drifter, we will send them to the ruined city. They've been doing a good job so far. So that's how we decide to deploy our forces. And then let's move on to the production phase. So first of all, let's resolve Phoenix over here on the basic workshop, creates 2 barricades, but cannot move. That's full effort. Phoenix expended their full effort on the workshop. Scamp over here produces 2 food. So that's 1 food, and then Scamp gets a +1 to food production. So they produce 2 food, which isn't enough to feed everybody. We've got 5 mouths to feed now, but hopefully, well, 4, because Phoenix is currently not hungry. But let's hope that Drifter can find some food when they go scavenging. And over here, because we placed 2 survivors on the upgrade spot, then we will actually flip this basic weapon shop over into an advanced weapon shop, which now can produce, instead of basic weapons, can produce advanced weapons. So that helps out with compound defense, gives us access to more defense power. And then these 2 guys stay here to continue to defend the compound. All right, so that's what we've got so far. This is cool. And then that concludes the production phase. And so now we're going to scavenge. So we turn our attention to Drifter. And once again, Drifter is looking at these 3 options, and they're all pretty much the same. They also have a box icon on the top of the card. So let's go ahead and just choose this one and see what we get here. And remember, Drifter has 1 knife, so attack power of 2 in case this turns out to be an ambush. It turns out to be nothing, which is pretty common occurrence here in the post-apocalypse. Now this icon is advanced weapon. Hopefully it actually is an advanced weapon. Nope, turns out to be an ambush with 3 marauders coming upon Drifter, who has attack power of 2. So Drifter is short by 1 and needs to pay 1 penalty point. And so Drifter's options are to give up this knife or to take a damage. I think Drifter's going to hang on to the knife, so instead Drifter's going to take a damage. Now, you can only take 2 damage. If you are to take a 3rd one, then you are dead from the game. So this is definitely a tough situation to be in. Now, we always have the option to stop flipping cards, but the temptation there is great to keep on pressing your luck because there could be useful stuff in here. There could also be more marauder attacks, and where it would be very, very hard for us to survive. But Drifter's going to press on. Drifter is a very brave survivor. They're going to see what exactly this is. This supposed to be like, they're looking at it. It looks like a knife. We flip it over. It turns out to be a knife. Excellent. A little bit of, a little bit of luck there. Got that. And then let's see what this card is. It looks like a box. Crossing our fingers. Hopefully it's not an ambush. Oh boy. Turns out to be an ambush. We have 3 marauders. Wow. Okay. Drifter has to pay 1 penalty point because it's, well, yeah. They can't wield this second weapon. So they only have an attack power of 2 versus a defense power of 2 versus attack power of 3. So they have to pay 1 penalty. This knife that they just got, they're going to have to pay that. They threw a knife at the marauders as they were retreating. So that sucks. But we're going to keep on going. So this is a box icon. And what does this turn out to be? Scrap metal. Okay, wow. Okay, that was clutch. We had 2 barricades. So let's grab those 2 barricade tokens. So Drifter found some scrap metal out in scavenging that turns out to be, we can use it to make barricades. And we have one more person icon card here. And what this could potentially be, one last survivor or just something else. Hopefully not anything bad. Fingers crossed. It is the last survivor. This is actually an incredible. We've gotten all 3 survivors. So, which means by process of elimination, there's no more survivors here in these other 2. So we know that these 2 don't have survivors, and we can do something with that information. But for right now, let's focus on the present. We've got we have 1 more survivor joining our hardy little band of survivors here, and this turns out to be Jericho, who is good at making fences, barricades. So we'll place Jericho here in our team, and we'll place Jericho's meeple over there, and that is the end of that scavenging run. So Drifter is able to come back to the compound successfully with some barricades. So that was okay. That was clutch, actually. So let's conclude this scavenging phase and then move on to the fortification phase. So first things first, we need to feed people. Yeah, so the priorities are the people who are involved in defense. So definitely we want to feed Ratchet. So let's see. We've got 2 food here. So Ratchet needs to get fed. So then Ratchet loses that hunger token. And then Gunner needs to get fed. So Gunner will also lose this hunger token. But that's it. That's all the food that we have, which means Phoenix will gain a hunger token. Drifter already has a hunger token on their character card. So this, if you were to gain a second hunger token, instead what happens is you discard these and you place a injury. So your hunger has become an injury. And Scamp is going to gain a hunger token as well. So that means it becomes an injury for Scamp as well. So people are getting damage from their hunger. Drifter was already wounded when he came back from scavenging, and then he was also hungry, and so now he's the most wounded of the lot. That said, Fortunately, this is where the meds that we got in an earlier scavenging run can come in handy. We happen to have 3 med tokens, and we've got 3 wounds, 2 on Drifter and 1 on Scamp. So we'll be able to do this. We'll be able to discard these 2 meds to take away the 2 wounds of Drifter, and then discard this 1 med token over here to take away Scamp's wound. So now everybody is unwounded, and only Phoenix has a hunger token on them. So, whew, okay. Now, we also have these barricades that Drifter found while scavenging, and clearly, because the intelligence that we got from our prisoner says that the attack is coming from the southeast, which means the weapon shop is probably the target. So we'll place these 2 barricades over here. And since Ratchet and Gunner are involved in defense, let's give our weapons to them. So take the knife from Scamp. Let's take the knife from, well, Phoenix has no weapons. We'll take the knife from Scamp and give it to Gunner. And we'll take the knife from Drifter and we'll give it to Ratchet. And that is their entire defense over there. Now, the key point here is that this weapon shop, even though we were able to upgrade it, it still has 1 damage cube on it. And we don't have any repair tokens, so we can't deal with that. Okay, so that concludes our fortification phase. Now let's go to defense. So number 1 step of the defense phase is the Marauders are going to appear. And they're going to appear in these 2 spaces. So 7 are going to appear here on the weapon shop itself. So let's put 2 of these meeples, and then 1 of these black gems that's been standing in for 5. So that's a total of 7. We'll put another black gem over here. Total of 8. This is going to get ugly, folks. Okay. So the damage, the attack power of the Marauders this turn is a total of 15. 7 plus 8. And our defense power is not nearly enough. So Gunner's defense power is 3. Ratchet's defense power is 3. It's a total of 6, 7, 8. So it's 15 minus 8. We have to give up the difference, which is 7 penalty points. 7 penalty points. So let's figure out how that can happen. First of all, we'll place 1 damage cube on here. So that's 1. We'll take away these 2 barricades. So that's 2 and 3. And then Gunner's got 2 weapons, 4 and 5. And then Ratchet's got 2 weapons, 6 and 7. So we were able to make the penalty points that were required. We were able to repel these Marauders, but at a very, very high cost. Now this weapon shop has 2 damage cubes. 1 more damage cube and we lose that weapon shop. So it's very tough indeed right now. But we survived the defense phase just barely, just by the skin of our teeth. We have 0 weapons, no weapons whatsoever, no barricades on there. And we know that, you know, next round, the Marauders are going to come and take us. But on the upside, we now have a complete complement of 6 survivors to do crazy stuff. So let's see how that can help us. Let us go into our recovery phase. We are going to retrieve all of our... Oh, and look at that. Oh, I did not. Darn it. I forgot that, what's her name? Phoenix had produced these 2 barricades. So I think what we'll do is we'll take away 1 damage point for this because that barricade would have absorbed it. And then we'll take back 1 of these weapons that were given up. We'll give it to Gunner. And because we had 2 extra barricades. Yeah. Okay, and then those barricades wouldn't have gone away. Yeah, I'll just say that we don't gain these, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, that was a little bit of a flub, a little bit of a mental error on my part, but let's just say let's call that our situation right now. Okay, so let's move back to our start of the round 5. Round 5 scouting phase. What do we got? The trader says we saw a marauder camp some clicks west, north, south, west. So now the attack's going to come from the west, which means they're going to target our workshop, which is kind of a break for us because we already have an damaged weapon shop over here. So let's see how that goes. Oh yeah, and we gotta get these guys back from defense. Okay, where is Scamp? Scamp, you come back here, and Gunner, you come back here. Okay, coming west. Okay. So what are we gonna do? We are gonna do actions. We have 6. We have a total of 6. Survivors to help us out here. So let's place Jericho. Let's send Jericho over to the basic workshop because Jericho will want to produce. He gets a +1 bonus to producing barricades. So that's cool. And then let's also send. Who else are we going to send out there? Let's send Gunner to do a half effort there, so to shore up our barricades. And then Scamp has a bonus to food production, so let's send Scamp out to do food. And then let's see. Do we want more weapons? We kind of do, right? Okay. These are the tough choices, folks. I think we'll send Ratchet out here to do weapons production. And then we'll send Phoenix out here to the farm to do food production. Phoenix can only do half effort because Phoenix is hungry. And then once again, we're going to send Drifter back to do some scavenging. Drifter has no weapons. So that is how we apportion our actions in this round. And so in the production here, let's start with Gunner. Gunner will produce a barricade, and we'll just leave it here. And then Jericho is going to produce 2 + 1, so actually 3 barricades, which is good because the attack is going to come from this side. Okay, so those are resolved. Phoenix is going to produce 1 food. And then Jericho, Scamp is going to produce 3 food. So 2 plus their bonus, so that's total of 3. All right, so we've got 4 food already, and we have 6 mouths to feed. So, and then over here, Ratchet is going to do the weapon. Ratchet gets a bonus on basic weapons, so they don't get a bonus on making upgraded weapons. So let's get these, and let's place them here for now. We'll distribute those later in the fortification phase. Okay, so that takes care of our action phase. Let's do our scavenging. So eeny, meeny, miny, mo, doesn't really matter. And we know that we're not going to get a survivor anymore, but hopefully we can still find some good stuff. Here's the calculation. We've run into a bunch of marauders. So hopefully now there are fewer marauders, but we can't really say. This one is a box, so let's flip it over. Hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully not marauders. We get scrap metal, which is very, very cool for us because we really need that. So let's get 2 scrap metal over here. Very nice. That's going to help us for defense. And then what is this one? This is a box. Whoa. Oh, snap. Wow. big ambush, 4 marauders. And Drifter is alone without any weapons, so he's got an attack power of 1. So the penalty points is 3. Which means he's got to give up these two scrap metal that he just found, and he's got to take 1 damage. So that is the 3 penalty points that he needs to take on. So now we've got, this is a bad situation. We have 4 cards left. We have 4 cards left, and we've got 1 damage. We can only afford to take 1 more damage. We have no weapons. So we could roll the dice here. I mean, literally, although there's no dice. This could be a good thing for us, a weapon, or if it's another ambush, I think Drifter's basically dead. So what are we going to do? I guess we're still going to go for it. There it is, the ambush. So Drifter is basically dead because Drifter has an attack power of 1. Ambush has an attack power of 3. 2 penalty points have to be paid. 1 penalty point can be paid in the form of another damage. And then the only other way he can pay the penalty point is a 3rd. And once you have 3, that means you are dead. So which means, number 1, Drifter's dead. Most importantly, Drifter has just passed away on the scavenging run. So Drifter's card needs to be moved to the side here. And then this is actually going to count against us in endgame scoring. So that's a problem. And we don't get to complete the other cards of the scavenging run. So those are just gone. And, you know, let's just take a look and see what they could have been, because we're not going to be able to get them anyway. This would have been more weapons, more basic weapons. This one would have been food, which we sorely need. And this last one would have been another ambush of 4. So we probably wouldn't have survived anyway. But there you go. And now we're down 1 survivor. Okay, so that concludes the most disastrous scavenging run of them all. So now let's move on to our fortification phase. Feed the survivors and deploy resources to your compound. So first of all, let's feed our survivors. 1 food has definitely got to go to Phoenix to get rid of that hunger token. And then another food here needs to go to Gunner. Another food here needs to go to Jericho because they're defending. So we want them to be fed. So let's see, we fed Phoenix, Gunner, and Jericho. So now we have Ratchet and Scamp who, have not been fed, but we've only got 1 food token left. Ratchet or Scamp, both of them have bonuses. I think I will feed Scamp, which means Ratchet is going to take 1 hunger. Okay, so that takes care of the food, and then we've got these 2 advanced weapons that were made by Ratchet. So we were going to give Gunner one of these, and then we're going to give Jericho one of these as well. So that they're going to help out for defense. Is that everything? Yes, that's everything. All right, so this is our current situation. We are at the end of round 5, so the penultimate round. Well, we haven't gotten the attacks yet from round 5. We were finishing up fortification. The Gunners got a basic weapon and an advanced weapon. Jericho over here has an advanced weapon. They're involved in defense. They've got 4 barricades on that. We think that the Marauders are going to come from this side. So that seems to be our situation right now. Okay, so let's resolve the defense. So number 1, the Marauders appear. Let's flip over the Marauder card. It says they're coming from the west, 7 in this space, 6 in this space, and 5 in this space. Total of 7 plus 5 is 12 plus 6 is 18. Wow. Okay. 18. So let's place 6 over here and 5 over here. So once again, what we've been doing is these gems are worth 5. Over here, there's a gem. And then in this space, we need a 7. So that's 2 of these meeples. And then 1 of these black gems. Come on. All right. So that's that. And they're all going to converge on to the basic workshop, which is the closest tile. So they have a total attack power of 18. What is our attack power? It is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, defense power. 1, 2, 3, 4 barricades. Gunner has 4. Jericho has 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. Plus 4 is 11. 18 minus 11 is 7. So we have a penalty of 7 to pay. So, well, first of all, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to take the weapons. 4, 5, 6, 7. We were able to pay just enough to be able to repel these marauders, but at a very, very heavy cost. Excuse me. Yeah, so that's where we are. Very tough. Okay, so, and where are we at now? We are at the recovery phase. We're still good to continue playing for the next round. Retrieve all remaining survivors back to their character sheet. So Gunner comes back here, Jericho comes back here, Phoenix comes back here, Scamp comes back here, and Ratchet comes back here. And we have no food. We have no weapons. We've got nothing in our supply. That was a very devastating marauder attack. And so now let's do the final round, round 6. And the scouting phase. So let's take this guy and let's take a look. Wanderer says, if they attack you like they attacked us, they'll hit you from the north and west simultaneously. North and west simultaneously. So they're going to come for both of these, the basic farm and the basic workshop. Ouch. Yeah, cool. All right. So now action phase. We have to defend both the farm and the workshop. And we also have to feed ourselves, by the way. So Scamp is going to go here to the farm because Scamp gets a bonus on food production. Jericho is going to go over here because they get a bonus on barricade production. Gunner is going to go back here, and then Phoenix is going to go, oh man, we need weapons, don't we? We need weapons. Okay. So Phoenix is going to go here to potentially, hopefully get some weapons, and Ratchet is going to go here to get another weapon. All right. Oh, but we also want to send somebody to do some scavenging, right? So let's just send Ratchet out to do some scavenging because there is potential to get more stuff when we scavenge. There's also potential to get completely wiped out, but such is the nature of, nobody ever said surviving in the post-apocalypse was easy, okay? So now let's do production. So first of all, Gunner is going to produce 1 barricade, and then Jericho is going to produce 2 plus 1, 3 barricades, a total of 4. And Scamp is going to produce 3 food. All right, 3 food. And Phoenix is going to produce 2 weapons, 2 advanced weapons. All right, so that takes care of production. On the compound side, let's go to scavenging. And there's only one more choice for Ratchet to scavenge, and it's going to be over here. So first of all, we got a box icon. Hopefully it's not bad. Nothing. Okay, it's not bad. It's not good. So next room that they go through, another box icon on the back. We get some energy bars. We get some 2 food. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to have. That's a very good thing for us. This is yet another box on the back. What does it look like? What is it? When it turns out to be some tools, a repair. We've got a damaged, upgraded weapon shop, so that repair can come in handy. Let's see. This one is another box. And survey says, ambush. Boom. 4 marauders. Ouch. So Ratchet is got a attack value of 1, which means they have to pay 3 penalty points. Oh boy. Well, we'll give up. We need this food though. Darn it. All right, we'll just give up these 3 benefit tokens that they just scavenged. That hurts. Okay. Just to be able to resolve basically bribe these marauders with some food and some tools to leave us alive. But we can still continue scavenging. This one says claims to be a advanced weapon. What turns out to be, yes, an advanced weapon. Okay, all right. And then the final, very, very final scavenge card. We know it's not a survivor, but what does it turn out to be? Nothing. Okay, well, how fitting. That ends up with nothing. And this entire scavenge run ends up with at least Ratchet can come back home and at least Ratchet comes back home in one piece and at least has a gun. Okay, so that concludes the scavenging phase. Now let's do fortification. First thing we're going to do to fortification is we're going to feed our remaining survivors. So we've got 3 food and we've got 5 people to eat, one of whom already has 1 hunger, Ratchet. But you know what? I'm not going to feed Ratchet because they're basically done for the game. So they're going to take instead of taking another hunger, they're going to take 1 damage. So because Ratchet's not going to be able to participate in any defense anyway. So didn't feed you. Definitely have to feed Gunner. So this is food for Gunner. And Jericho, because they're involved in defense. So feeding them both. And then we can either feed Scamp or we can feed Phoenix. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. We'll feed Phoenix. No, we'll feed Scamp. So then Phoenix is going to take 1 hunger. Okay. We have some guns here. So we'll give 1 gun to Gunner and 1 gun to Jericho. So they have total attack power of 3 each. Plus they've got these barricades here. That, you know what, that has to be enough. That has to be enough because we have nothing left. It is the very, very final round. Here we go. What do we got? It's coming 10 and 10. 10. Okay. So let's just pretend that each one of these is 5, right? So that's 5, that's 5, and this is 5, and this is 5. All right. So let's resolve. We've got 2 that need to be resolved, 2 building tiles that need to be resolved. Let's resolve this one first. So we've got attack power, Marauder attack power of 10, and our attack power here combined is 3, 6, 10, because we got 4 barricades. So 10, 10, so equals or exceeds. We successfully defend this basic workshop. We repel the marauders. Yay, so long. The 10 that came to the basic farm, this Phoenix has an attack power of 1, and then this barricade is 1, so 2, which means we have a penalty of 8 to be able to pay here on the basic farm. Okay, so penalty of 8. What does this penalty look like? So definitely this barricade's going to go down. So that's 1. We need to pay 7. The only other things that Phoenix can pay are 2 damage. So Phoenix will take 2 damage, and so penalty was now 7, 6, 5, and let's say the third damage would have been 4. So able to pay, we had a total of 8, and then we were able to pay 4, right? The barricade and then 3 damage points. So we have 4 penalties we were not able to pay, right? So Phoenix is dead. I mean, that's for certain. So let's get, I'm sorry, it was Scamp who's, it's not Phoenix, it's Scamp who's, so Scamp is dead instead of Phoenix. Phoenix still has that hunger. Scamp is dead. Scamp will go on the side here. And so what happens to these 2? So first of all, that farm, and then the farm has to take damage as well. So we've still got 4 penalty points. So that's 3, that's 2, and then that's 1. Okay. So basically, this farm is destroyed as well. And you technically still have 1 marauder left over after just doing all that destruction. So the marauder still wants to maraud, right? So are they going to go here to this heavily defended thing, or are they going to go over here to this weapon shop? They're only 1 marauder, so either way, this upgraded weapon shop has Phoenix defending it. And so Phoenix has an attack power of 1 against 1 marauder. So the marauder is repelled, but because Phoenix was unarmed, Phoenix will take a damage token as well in their successful defense of the weapon shop. Okay, so that concludes round number 6. And so what we have to do now is evaluate if we survive till the end of the game. So the basic goal of this game is to survive, make it to the end of round 6 with at least 1 living survivor and 1 building tile left standing in your compound. So we seem to have achieved that objective, right? We've got the workshop survived, we've got the weapon shop survived. So now we made it, but now we have to figure out our score. So after completing the 6th round of play with at least 1 survivor left alive and 1 building tile left standing, you have won the game. So we basically won, but we now have to calculate our winning score. So we get 2 victory points per basic building tile. So there's 2 points here, and then we get 3 points per upgraded building tile. So we managed to upgrade the weapon shop. So that's 3. So that's a total of 5 so far. We get 3 points per living survivor meeple. So that means we get 3, 6, 9, 12. So we've got 4 survivors left, so that's 12. So 12 plus 2 plus 3 is 5, 17. We have 17 points so far. And then we get 1 point for each complete set of 3 benefit tokens in supply. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we've got 3 complete sets of benefit tokens. So that is an extra 2 victory points. So 17 plus 2 is 19. Minus 3 points per deceased survivor meeple. So Scamp and Drifter both got deceased. So that's minus 3, so that's 6. So 19 minus 6 is 13. And then minus 3 points per destroyed building tile. So our basic farm was destroyed. So we were down to 13 minus 3 is 10. So our final score is 10 victory points. So let me just turn the camera over here back to me. So there you have it. That is a completed game of my game design Do Not Go Gentle. And we were able to make it all the way to round 6. We were able to make it. We lost 2 survivors. We lost 1 building. And our final victory point score was 10 victory points. Would have been 19, but we had some penalties. There's a couple of other things to tweak here. Like in my current version of the scoring, I also say like 1 point per defeated marauder, but I'm trying to figure out like how possible is it to be able to do that? Because keeping track of all the marauders you defeated, that would be a lot of tokens. So I haven't factored that in yet. That is in the rule book, but I don't know if I'm going to keep it in the rule book. It kind of makes sense maybe to earn more victory points per marauder, but I need to have a better system for keeping track of that. Maybe like a tracker, a victory point tracker. To keep track of that stuff might be something that I'll consider. But anyway, hopefully that demo playthrough of my game has given you an idea of how the game flow plays. It's a very kind of abstracted mechanism, post-apocalyptic worker placement game, which was really what I was going for. I'm mostly personally happy with how it plays. It does give certain moments of tension. Maybe there's certain things about it that I need to tweak. I'm not sure yet. I want to start getting, hopefully some people are going to like build their own copies, and maybe if I get to put it up on Tabletop Simulator, they'll get a chance to play the game and then give me some feedback about like how can I improve it. But for right now, hope you enjoyed that demo playthrough of Do Not Go Gentle. Until next time, this has been Martin. Thanks for watching.